Hi, welcome to a short video on the practical usage of Microsoft Power Query. I'm Ashish Mathur, and in this video I'd like to show you how you can create a daily work schedule using Power Query. For other MS Excel solutions, you may visit my website ashishmathur.com. Okay, so here's what my data looks like. I have a simple 4-column data set with a resource name over here. As you can see, the names over here are being repeated. The date at which the project started, the date when it's ended or supposed to end, and the project that one's working on. So Raghav is working on project P4 from the 2nd of June to the 5th of June, and Raghav is working on project P5 from the 2nd of June to the 7th of June. So during the same days or on the same day, the very same person may be working on multiple projects. Now that's the base data to start with. What I'd like to actually transform my data to is shown in the next tab over here called the expected result, wherein along the columns I'd want the various days of the month of June. Along column A over here, I'd like to actually show the unique names, and in the data matrix over there, I'd like to show which projects is each person working on each day. So on the 3rd of June, Raghav was working on two projects, P4 and P5. So that's how I'd like to see my data. Now I have resolved this problem with the help of using Microsoft Power Query. So here's what I actually did. First and foremost, I went to the base data and I gave it a heading, let's say day 1. Drag this all the way to the right to get about 20 odd days, and in fact let's extend it further to about 30 days or so. Once I have created these headings, what I now need to do is on day 1, the date would be what I have in the start date column, which I can copy all the way down. For day 2, I'll need to write a formula which says equal to this plus 1 is less than equal to the ending date over here. Then it should be this plus 1, else I'd like to get a blank there. And I ensure the same column width everywhere. I copy paste special the format as well. Now when I drag this towards the right, you'll actually get to see that it fills up only till 4th and not till the 5th. So the small edit that I'll make over here would be make that less than, drag that to the right hand side. If E2 plus 1 is less than equal to, that was correct, C2, then it should be E2 plus 1. And I should have got a 5th of June over here as well. The reason for it not quite working is I haven't put the dollar symbols correctly. So I need to put a dollar at the $C2 over here. Drag this to the right, I get a 5th over there. I will also get some value errors over there. To suppress them, I simply write an if error with a blank at the end. With a blank at the end there, copy this all the way till the very last column and simply then drag this down. So what I've been able to achieve via this is that for every row I've been able to split the beginning and the ending date range into its individual date components. So this is 22nd till 26th, I get 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 with blanks thereafter. Having done this, I select the entire data set, convert this into a table and give it a name, let's say base data. I now go to Power Query and say Excel data from table. Take the data to the Power Query window, and now what I'll do is I'll deep pivot right from day 1 till day 30, right click, and I'll say unpivot my columns. I'll get some blanks over here that I obviously do not need. So in the filter drop down, I can simply uncheck the blanks from there. Now once I've got the individual dates of a range, I don't need to maintain the start, end, for that matter the attribute column either. I can simply go and remove these columns. Okay, now this has a date and a timestamp which I do not need. So if I right click, I can do a simple split column over here. So right click, right click, and I do a split column by delimiter, saying that my delimiter ought to be a space, and at the left hand side I get my data like that. I don't need the timestamp, I can simply remove it. I'll give a more meaningful name to this, let's say date over there. Now having done it till here, now what I'll do is I'll actually concatenate resource name and date to create one concatenated column, then I'll concatenate projects and date to create yet another concatenated column. However, in Power Query you cannot concatenate a text and a date string, or a date or a text and a number string, and therefore I need to convert these to text entries. I'll just go to home, data type, instead of date I choose text over there. Okay, now I simply go to add column, I say add custom column, let the name remain custom itself. I combine resource name with the date. I then create yet another concatenated column where I combine the project, giving a colon as a separator, with the date. Okay, now once I've got it till here, I do not need the resource name and the date column. I can simply remove those columns. What I'd now do is I'll select this, I go to transform, I can say I want to pivot my data. In the value area section I'd like to see the projects, advanced options. Here I say do not aggregate. When I click on OK, I get something which is nowhere close to what I'm actually wanting to see in my end result. Nevertheless, what I'll now like to do is I select from here till the very end, and now I'd like to actually merge columns with a space as a delimiter, with a space as a separator, and I get something like this, right? Now I have spaces before, in the middle, or at the very end. So first and foremost, let me right click over here and let me transform the data by first of all trimming it. This still does not get rid of the spaces in between. So I right click over here, I split the column by delimiter, I say I want to give a space as a delimiter, click on OK there. And okay, something's not right over here, so I reverse the previous step. I reverse the step there, I right click, let me try that yet again. So I go to split column by delimiter, wherein I say my separator is the space at the left hand delimiter. If I now click on OK, you'll now see only two columns come up. There could be spaces after this, and there are definitely spaces before this. So right click, transform, I do a trim, right click, transform, I do a trim here as well. Okay, now is when I can combine these two. However, if I combine these two with a comma in between as what I want in my ultimate data set, the problem would be I'll get a P6 comma there, whereas I should not be getting a comma after P6 because there is no merge value in the second column there. And therefore, I'll add yet another column. I'll do a custom column over there wherein I say I'd like to merge this, or rather, why don't I simply select these two over here? I go to home and I go to transform, I say merge columns with, let's say, a space in between. Okay, now I've got a space in between the two, which I can right click, I can replace values, space there with a comma, and in fact, once again, just to be doubly sure, let me just actually go and transform and trim the text first. Now when I right click, I can replace values, I can say right click, replace values, I can say value to find for space, replace with a comma. Okay, so now you'll see there's no comma coming after the P6. Okay, next I'll right click over here, I'll split the column by delimiter by giving over here a custom and a colon there, click on OK. Just to ensure that I have meaningful names, I'll just rename this to, let's say, resource name here, and I'll rename this to date over here. I'll ensure that this is actually the date type, which it is, thankfully, and I'll also sort the dates in ascending order. Now once I've got it till here, I'll pivot this data. So I go there, I go to transform, I say pivot, use the names in column date to create new columns. What should come in the value area section, the merged column, and I do not want to aggregate. If I click on OK, it seems like I've got my desired data structure with the dates over here appearing in ascending order. I can now simply go to home, close and load, and I get my desired data set. So all with the help of Power Query, no formulas, no macros at all. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Thank you.